This is an HP 400G3 that I got on eBay for $29. Can I get it working, and if so, what can we do with a computer that cost less than $30? Well, that's the name of the game. The name of the games. eBay games, where I try to fix computers from the 4 parts or not working section of eBay. Because I'm sick. I can't stop buying stuff on eBay. I have a problem. Unlike this computer, which I'm very hopeful about, because it has what I call the rattle of functionality. In the last eBay games, the damage to the computer I messed with was almost entirely cosmetic, so we're facing a bit more of a challenge here. If it goes well, I think this could be quite a score, but this time we're dealing with beep codes, which means we might have to get a little crazy. We might have to get a little crazy! At first appearance, this computer actually looks pretty decent. It isn't too terribly beat up physically, which is often a good sign, but not always. The listing stated the PC was throwing beep codes, but I'm hoping that was just from lack of components and not anything seriously wrong with the device. Honestly, even for something with beep codes, I was surprised to find this potentially good of a deal. Especially because the not working category of eBay has gotten pretty bad lately. I'm constantly seeing listings that are like, this computer is missing half the components, the other half are broken, I threw it out a window and ran it over with my car, but I would like $200 for it. Which, not only are the prices out of control, but I really don't know who would treat a computer that way. Just totally uncalled for. Now, the form factor of this PC is actually pretty neat. It's technically the SFF or small form factor version, but it's more compact than the standard SFF you would see with the ProDesk 600 or EliteDesk 800. In the first eBay games, I covered a USDT model computer, which is like a lost form factor between micro and SFF. The size of this 400G3 small form factor is like right in between the USDT and the standard small form factor. What makes it interesting is that even though this is a smaller size, it still has hard drive caddies, full-size RAM, an internal PSU, and a PCIe slot. Unlike the USDT, which doesn't have most of those things. Alright, let's start adding some of the missing components. I'm not sure if this has a CPU or not, so we'll try dropping in everything else that we need and go from there. It looks like we'll for sure need RAM and a hard drive. This model doesn't have an M2 slot, but a 2.5-inch SSD should be perfectly fine for what we're doing. If I can get this running, I plan on offloading it just as an everyday use type computer for basic web browsing and video playback, so we don't need to get too crazy with any of the components. Side note, this would probably also be a really good option for a retro emulation PC, but that's just not the direction I'm going with it this time. Did you say retro emulation? Like emulating some PS1? I told you to stop interrupting me when I'm doing these videos. Go back to your corner. Go! I apologize for that. It's very unprofessional. And I need to add a BIOS battery, as this doesn't appear to have one. I'm also adding 8 gigabytes of DDR4 2133 megahertz RAM. With this together, we should be good to test out the PC and see if it has a CPU or not. Alright, I fired up the machine and we're looking good. I went through the install process, everything's working properly, and there was a CPU. The i5 6500, which is pretty sweet. I thought it had a CPU, but I was expecting an i3, so that was kind of a pleasant surprise. Also, like a lot of similar Office PC models, this does have an official Windows activation key tied to the motherboard. So it did the full install without having prompted me for a key or anything like that. That I was expecting, but still nice and worth noting. Very quickly, let's just go through and check out some basic video playback to test out our everyday use case. I'm going to have several videos running at 1080p from some fool that looks like a clown. Like a damn clown! And multiple video playback is no problem whatsoever. Web browsing was fast. We are looking nice. I'll still have to clean this up a bit and get it ready to sell in the future, but now at least I know it works. I'll probably go ahead and keep the 500 gigabyte SSD and the 8 gigabytes of RAM. I just had this stuff laying around, but the drive was only like 20 bucks new, and I'm always on the lookout for cheap RAM and have found some good deals in the past, so I probably paid about $10 for it. Altogether, with the $30 computer as the base, that'll take the total up to about $55. I'll probably try to get between $75 and $90 for it, to hopefully make about $20-$30 on a quick flip. This computer is looking really good for everyday use, and it's even a more compact size, which some people might prefer for this type of machine. Even if I don't make much of a profit on this, it's really not a huge deal. Whenever I offload my used computers, it's typically just so I can buy more used computers and keep the projects rolling. So to everyone watching this project, thank you for tuning in, and I'll catch you later.